Hi, I'd like to share with you the top 5 acne supplements to solve your problem that maybe otherwise is not resolved. The first thing I want to share with you is what is it about acne that creates a problem? Why do these pimples, blackheads, these sometimes inflammatory issues in the skin? The skin is kind of the reflection of everything about you. It's the first thing people notice. And so when we look at the solutions, I think you're going to be satisfied to find out that we've really mastered this subject quite well. And having created the original book in 2005, Annihilate Acne Now, and then in 2018, I came out with Acne Be Gone for Good. Actually, the book came out a little bit after the actual supplements and after years of experience of helping teenagers and young adults and even older individuals with acne and athletes with hormonal acne and bacne and the T zone and all these things. I was rather disgusted when I was a teenager. I was on American Bandstand, which is a national television, and the cameras would pan up really close and they would see my skin. And they probably didn't notice, but I felt horrified, I have to say, especially when I get a real big pimple on my nose or around my face. It was just horrible. So I really feel for those of you who are struggling, and I want you to be assured the answers are within this talk. So the first thing, here's a great example of a 14-year-old male with chronic acne. He had tried many different solutions, external topicals, and other interventions. And then he found out about Estrablock. And Estrablock, the original product, came out somewhere a little after 2004, 2005. And it's been around for nearly 20 years. So the history is fabulous. We posted it on Amazon. It took off. Influencers were talking about it. And here was a natural solution that could clear up the skin. We didn't know at that time that sometimes people put reviews up and they took a bunch of our reviews off. But this is the time tested, the really one of the great products of all time to help solve the skin. And then uh, we kept getting more and more comments from individuals like this young lady saying, I'd be waking up with 9 to 12 new pimples a day, even hard cystic ones. And it would take a week or two for even those to subside. But after using this product, Ester Block, my forehead acne completely shut down, my chest soreness, the bumps, they subsided 3 months later, and my skin looks so much better. So we hear literally tens of thousands of individuals over the years who have gotten these kind of results. And here's an example of a couple twins and uh, before and after. And, these individuals were talking about, hey, I've never had such healthy skin. And it really speaks for itself. What is it that you're struggling with? And how come you don't know about this product? Well, as I mentioned, Annihilate Acne Naturally came out early on. And then I was contacted by one of the top board certified dermatologists, Dr. Sonia Badarisi Banasel in the Bay Area of California. And she said, I'd really like to review your material. I knew her husband, Vivek, he's a board certified surgeon and deals with different cosmetic issues. And so we collaborated on this book line by line and went through the whole details. And we came out with this incredible book. And I'm really proud to say that more and more people are learning about the resolutions. I plan to record the Audible book soon about this book. And so really little has changed since it first came out, except most people need to find out about this. Now, there are cases where people have such severe acne, they've been treated with radiation. Unfortunately, the long tail follow up of 5 to 20 years later, it's been reported that thyroid cancer develops from these radiation treatments. So, this is not an innocuous intervention. And of acne in terms of Western countries, 79 to 95% of adolescents suffer from acne of some type. The individuals age 25 or older, 40 to 54%, and middle-aged people still struggling, 3 to 12% with acne. And yet, interesting enough, there's certain parts of the world where there's virtually zero incidence of acne, parts of Africa, parts of the South Pacific. It's really quite interesting. And so we know that when these people migrate from those regions of the world where their skin is immaculate and they come to like our region of the world, we start seeing acne at the same statistical incidence. So it's something about the environment. That's the first clue. And so when I started researching the science, I decided to come out with a series of interventions, and I'm going to talk about some of these innovations. And the latest of which that I'm really happy and excited to talk about is Estroblock Vitality. Why am I so excited about this? Just because here's a product with the name brand Estroblock, and it does have calcium diglucarate, which helps with some of the more obvious hormonal acne conditions, and it detoxified these hormonal levels. But we also added niacinamide. Niacinamide is a breakthrough, and everyone's talking about it because it's been shown to help with cystic acne. It helps with some of the more troubling types of acne, and it helps improve the skin overall and helps more youthful levels. Now, this appropriate dose of the added niacinamide taken morning and night over a 3 to 6 month period, you're going to see the skin continuing to improve. Now, if that weren't enough, I mentioned it does have calcium diglucarate, which helps to kind of detoxify the harmful estrogen ratios. But we also have from broccoli sprouts in this product, sulforaphane. And sulforaphane, very potent, is very good for the health of the skin and your overall gut and well being. And some other, shall I say, more harmful, toxic type of chronic conditions that I won't name off during the show because I'm going to stay focused on the whole idea of skin. And Aptogen, this is another incredible ingredient in here that helps those people with sensitive skin to improve nicely. If that weren't enough, we added spermidine. Spermidine kind of acts like removing zombie cells. Autophagy means it's clearing out these kind of worn out cells that they're not dead, but they're in your body just taking up space. And it really does affect your body's overall well being and vitality. So that's why we call the product Estroblock Vitality. It's almost like getting 60 minutes of exercise a day as well. And I'm here to tell you, I've been taking the product myself. I'm thrilled with the results. And even though I'm 70 years old, uh, I still marvel at the number of people that are struggling with the health and the quality of their skin. And the skin is very important. It's the main protection from the outer world. It's that layer that helps to guard against chemicals, toxins, uh, even just the filthiness of, of the environment we live in. So oily skin is not just a result of some external thing that can be washed off with soap. In fact, when you wash using harsh soap, you're going to be affecting the microbiome of the skin. The skin has very particular, interesting type bacteria ratios. And so we look at these things uh, with great attention, knowing that all of these things tie in directly or indirectly to estrogen dominance. And I was the first to talk about this in its relationship to acne. And there was some people out there that poo-pooed it, said that can't be. What does this have to do with skin conditions? And it has a lot to do with it because estrogen dominance affects DHT, dihydrotestosterone. It affects testosterone. And so other doctors have since confirmed my preliminary findings. And the foods that you eat, yes, there's certain foods that are high in estrogen causing properties. And it's not just the cholesterol and fat in these foods, it's really kind of how, whether it be you've been exposed to the idea that you have to eat more and more protein to preserve your lean body mass and health, which is really farthest from the truth. I remember meeting with Bob Goldman, who really has been a peer and a colleague for years because he's one of the founders of the A4M, the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And the lookalike to Arnold Schwarzenegger has taken a picture with me and him and Bob, and we're talking about solving some of these health toxic issues related to toxic estrogens. And a lot of the bodybuilders, they look very fit, but sometimes they're exposed as they're trying to enhance the overall ratio of testosterone, if you will. And so at times they get a little bit too much, and some of it converts over. It's called aromatization into estrogen. And these need to be detoxified. Just like pesticides are estrogen mimics, plastics, the synthetic hormones, synthetic chemicals, all of us are exposed. And it's fortunate that from the plant-based kingdom, there's things like DIM, diethylmethane, indole 3 carbinol. And I came up with the idea of which is better, DIM or indole 3 carbinol. I said, just combine them both. They help different pathways. And I was right about that looking back. And if you think now, going on nearly what, 50 years, more than 50 years, now going on 60, 70 years of the use of the birth control. Now, of course, women need to have a method of birth control. However, the side effects, because it's related to hormonal tinkering. And some of the big pharma companies have paid out over $110 million in lawsuits. So think of Estroblock as something that can protect. It won't interfere with the birth process, meaning if you need birth control protection, it will allow for that. But the key is that it's going to make a big difference overall in your well-being. So here's the award-winning product we call Estroblock Pro. I created it shortly after the launch of Estroblock Regular, and Estroblock Pro has, as I mentioned, the unique combination of wasabi, and it has DIM, diethylmethane, indole 3 carbinol. It has a special, unique delivery system that no other company, except one that I can think of, even came close to understanding. The use of chrysin, D-glucolactone, which is similar to calcium diglucarate, and phosphatidylserine. Incredible, incredible product. Our number one seller to this day on the national scene, and now starting to break into the international. Although internationally, they didn't want DIM in their products. So that's why I created Estroblock Vitality. And it does its wonders without having to require DIM in ingredients. Although I'm a big fan, if you're in the US, you can use both Estroblock Pro, Estroblock Vitality, and get the results. So annihilating acne now naturally. Can this really be done? We get hundreds of cases every week. We ship out containers to Amazon. It's been quite an exciting outcome. Now, what about PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome? I can't make disease product claims, but I can tell you that there's a high incidence of acne in these people who have genetically higher testosterone in some cases than estrogen. And although women by and large actually do produce more testosterone than estrogen, it's kind of in how the ratio breaks down. So there are bias creams, estriol, estradiol. So I decided to create a cream that I call Estroblock cream. Not that we're blocking the estrogen, we're really metabolizing it through its proper pathways to support healthy estrogen, because both men and women need a little bit of estrogen in the body, and we need it in a ratio that's appropriate. So as we're working through, I created this product called DHT Block. I realized that DHT is a more potent androgen, and it does affect many people who have very troubling forms of acne. And so this product, I chose to use beta-sitosterol and some other polyphenols and some of the broccoli sprouts, and it's still got a little bit of DIM in it. It's really quite an amazing product that a number of people are seeing benefit with this. Now, I also realized that the people with PCOS could benefit with something I call lipoburn, which is beta-sitosterol and the combination of bergamot. So putting this whole package together, whether you're going to respond better to DHT block, if you're a leaner individual, but you still need that protection of the skin, or you're going to respond better with the Estroblock Pro triple strength or the original Estroblock. it's really kind of an odyssey or kind of a journey. So this is why I also created what's called Live Detox, because when all these estrogens and androgens are metabolized, ultimately it's the liver that's kind of that organ that helps to shift and move these hormones to safer, what's called metabolites. So Live Detox, if you've been using estrogen block at all for any period of more than a couple months or more, then you really want to add Live Detox to your regime to really ensure the proper metabolism and the overall health of your skin. So Live Detox is rather amazing. It's got asparagus, it's got cypress, it's got astragalus, it's got kind of an array of things that even helps people with inflammatory issues that relate to the white blood cells. And I won't get into too much detail about this, but curcumin, oregano, cypress, astragalus, wasabi. Combine this with healthier eating and exercise, and I think you too can be amongst the tens of thousands of people that we've helped. And let's not forget stress. Adrenal DMG, dimethylglycine, helps to kind of manage one's insulin and blood sugar levels. And it was really Dr. Sonia Badarisi Banisel, my co-author as a board certified dermatologist, that originally alluded to insulin management and cortisol management and these things that play a big role in assisting the body. And of course, when you look at dimethylglycine, which is kind of a very important methyl donor, and that helps to shift these hormones through their proper pathways, as I mentioned. And one of the things I'm really excited about is to report to you that there, as I mentioned earlier, there are places in the world like the Kitavan Islands where acne is completely non-existent. And we realized a lot had to do with their diet. They would eat mostly tubers and uh, the various like yams and vegetables. I'll share with you here in the next slide. Fruits, coconut, a little bit of fish. They don't consume dairy product. They do avoid coffee and tea and alcohol and that kind of thing. So the aspect of the Kitavan diet that may be totally responsible so for such radiant skin is a lot of the foods they consume are low in what's called the glycemic index. Cassava, sweet potatoes, yams. These Pacific Islanders love coconut as well. So they're getting kind of a rich variety of omega-3 fatty acids, no dairy product. So the Kitavan is a really good example if you're looking to have radiant, perfect skin. So it was with that thought that I created a product, a green, whole food kind of plant-based called Slim Plant Pro. And now it's finally available in its kind of development from its early forerunner of a Slim Plant blend. And so Slim Plant Pro is all non-GMO. It's organic. It's GMP facility certified. Over 35 whole ingredients. Kind of everything you kind of want to add to a nutritious intake. But I want to make a simple comment. And I went about looking at some of these competitors and different products. What is this one? Garden of Life, and we did some, if you will, taste tests, and it's interesting that this has added sugar. I mean, it tastes like a milkshake. So if you're really interested in health, I really question what your goal is. When I use this, it gave me a stomach ache. I guess I'm just not used to the synthetic, like sugars and all the stuff that they add just out of the sake of trying to solve taste. So I've had a few people purchase the product and go, "Oh, it's not as sweet or as tasty as these other milkshakes." And I go, "What milkshake? What are you trying to accomplish?" The Slim Plat Pro is one of the ultimate. I'll put it as a better competitor to AG1, and right now it's getting all the attention, but It's a green drink that's nowhere near matches the quality and the sincerity and the effort to make a whole food drink. So I purchased this product recently called Green Vibrance, and it talks about a plant-based superfood. And so we just did a taste test in the front room there with some of our people. And honestly, you drink this. They even added a sweetener because it tastes so strong. And it, one person said it kind of tastes like dirt. Uh, this will not be comparable to the natural whole flavor of Slim Plant Pro. Not just the quality, the benefit, what you're trying to gain. This is the way to go, folks. Go with Slim Plant Pro. I assure you, you're gonna be okay with the taste. You're gonna foster wellness and well-being. It even has probiotics and mushrooms. It's got all kinds of pretty amazing ingredients. And I'm not going to belabor and go through all the ingredients, but I, I am going to mention a few of the cool things overall. So if you're looking for a healthy skin profile, ester block, DHT block, lip detox, hair skin detox, if these sound familiar to you, visit our website and you'll find them. And if you want to get into the metabolism and the understanding, look up estroblock.com. But if you want to go ahead and understand how this is going to serve you, maybe get your hormones in balance, you can order some test kits from our website. We can kind of review the pros and cons of various kind of diets and interventions without belaboring it. Just go with the whole natural foods, particularly whole natural fats, whole nuts and seeds, coconut, olives, these kind of things. And if you enjoy eating food like I do, a lot of the healthiest international cuisines, Asian, Italian, Mexican, Greek food, they are rich in dietary fiber, supporting a healthy microbiome. And the gut is key to healthy skin, absolutely key. T. Colin Campbell wrote his incredible book, The China Study, and he was able to identify certain ingredients, certain things in the diet that affect something called mTOR that kind of causes abnormal growth. And the growth that we speak of is not just abnormal changes in the skin, but particular like tumor type problems. So if you're looking to live a longer, better quality life, get one of my cookbooks, Simply Healthy Cookbook, and you'll be able to stay young. I think you're going to find an amazing array of recipes. And at some point, get your laboratory tests. Look at what foods you're compatible with, inflammatory foods, what things you should focus more on. And excuse me, on Wednesdays, we have a mentorship that's ongoing now over 3 years, and we have replays of this. And we even have a full 1-day immersion event coming up here, and it'll be listed if you look up foreveryoungevent.com, usually held on a Saturday morning, 10 in the morning till about 1 p.m. And it'll be really convenient. We're going to review healthy eating, exercise, mindset. We're going to go into bioidentical hormones, peptides. We're going to kind of compare where Estroblock compares to some of these other less well-designed products, because they really didn't have a clarity about what needed to happen in order to get the kind of outcomes that we see routinely in our search for ideal wellness. So if you, like I, would like to kind of, here, let me just expand this, kind of get to that next level, watch this next video. Please leave a review. You have some discussions. My promise to you was I was going to give you exactly the steps and the tips that we've discovered that are so simple. And yes, I even added in some dietary information. You might accept or want to reject or deny, whatever that is, but detoxification, stem cell enhancement, peptides, nutrification, whole food eating,